the Buick Park Avenue Ultra.
If you like your car's domestic, big and brash, there's a new kid on the block and it's called the Buick Park Avenue Ultra. Thoroughly modern it might be, but the Park Avenue is a very traditional American luxury sedan in just about every respect except its front-wheel drive arrangement. The concept might appear similar, but it doesn't look much like this obvious GM rival, the Chevy Caprice. Most will agree that it has a more elegant stance with none of the Caprice's narrow track body side overhang. Up front there's a vestigial radiator grille to remind you of Buicks gone by, but the lighting arrangement is pure 1990s. Overall it's very smooth and slick with flush window glass and rounded corners. Styling is based on that of the Park Avenue Essence concept car that toured the show circuit a couple of years back. Buick says it's the most sophisticated six-passenger car the division has ever offered, and it's also among the most advanced automobiles available. Buick may be right, but there are some old-fashioned touches to keep traditionalists happy. There's plenty of power and torque from a 3.8-litre V6 engine with tuned port injection and an electronically controlled 4-speed automatic transmission, GM's first. The transmission pioneers a new generation of automatics from GM's Hydra-matic division, and it debuts in the Park Avenue. The new version of GM's 3.8-litre V6 provides 170 horsepower and 220 foot-pounds of torque. 100 kilometers per hour should be topped in around 10 seconds, and fuel economy is in the 10.5 litres per 100 kilometers range. A well-optioned Park Avenue like ours will set you back $35,988. Few will complain about the 3.8 smoothness, quietness and response. Good North American luxury cars offer these characteristics in spades, and the Park Avenue is no exception. Handling is good for a large car, but you can forget about keeping up with BMWs on winding roads. Steering is a little on the light side, but buyers of large domestics will like it that way. It's an easy car to get in and out of with wide doors, but once inside you'd better be a lover of 1970s-style interiors to find happiness there. My test car was treated in grey leather with curiously old-fashioned pleats, something I thought had long gone out of style. The seats don't offer much lateral support, but they're comfortable for lounging around town. There's lots of fake wood around the dash and door cappings, and it really looks fake too. A matte finish might have made this look quite nice, but it's too shiny to look anything other than plastic. Most of the practical side of the car's interior is well done, and I especially liked its neat set of analog instruments. Also a plus were adjustable height seat belts. The climate control system needed a stretch to reach, at least for me, and once again GM has opted for an awful two-key, one-way only system. When will they learn? The dash panel curves around and merges with matching door trim. Lighting switches are handily located on the door part of this trim, and this arrangement works quite well. There's a vast trunk that'll probably swallow luggage for 6 people if needed. Anti-lock brakes are standard, and so is an airbag. In general, it's a fine car, and fully worthy of Buick's historic nameplate. From an engineering standpoint, it ranks with the best, and there are more convenience features than I could possibly have time to list. On the other hand, I can't help wondering what the Park Avenue could be if GM managed to tear itself away from interior designs that belong in a car of 20 years ago. Rivals for cars like this are fewer than they used to be, but you can count the aforementioned Caprice and the Ford LTD Crown Victoria and its Mercury Grand Marquis clone. The Oldsmobile Delta 88 might tempt some, if not me, and there's also the Chrysler New Yorker range. Well, this could be really good, Ted, with some additions and changes.
Yeah, let me talk about the good stuff first. I will say that General Motors has made tremendous progress with this car. The quality control is very good. Assembly quality is good. It's nicely finished. It's well put together. But what a waste of technology. I mean, front drive and electronic doodads, this and that, on a car that is basically right out of the 70s. The concept of this car drove me up a wall. I couldn't stand anything about it. I don't know where to start. Wood trim, for example, that plastic wood trim was so bad, it calls into question the whole need for wood trim at all, you know. I mean, if that's what it's come down to, why bother?
Well, I agree, and I don't think that wood trim belongs anywhere in a car anyway. I think it went out of fashion years ago. I think that pleated seats went out of fashion years ago, vinyl roofs went out of fashion years ago. Why are they still doing this? I mean, I try to tell myself that there are lots of people out there who love this sort of car, and they probably are. But really, if you look at the sales figures for many of these divisions, they're not doing too good.
They're going
maybe
down.
I'm a little bit it right on this.
They're going down in numbers. I can't see anybody buying this car because it's not a Caprice and it's not a Cadillac. It's something in between, and it doesn't do either very well.
But it's a good-looking car, and if you engineered a decent suspension,
sure,
that didn't have quite so much dive on the braking.
The brakes, for example, anti-locking brakes, but every time you brake, the car dives onto its nose. I mean, you get nauseous driving the thing. Oh, God, there's so much wrong with this car. My big question is, why build a car like this at all? This is 1991. You know, there's a lot of much more contemporary cars around. Why on earth would you want to buy a car like this?
It's Buick's flagship, and I think that there are lots of people at GM who still believe, and you know, they could show you figures to probably prove them right, that lots of people want a car like this. My answer to that is always that if Ford could pull off what they did with the Taurus, provide a modern, well-styled, nice interior and so on, and people flocked to that, and it worked very, very well. Okay, we have to wrap now. Things we didn't like about this car, quite a few, but let's just mention the interior trim, which was right out of the 1970s. The plus side, there was lots of power, interior space was very good, and lots of features. Driving dollar value, I can only give this 3/4 of a tank. There's lots of features, but it's still lacking.
That's putting it mildly.